Well, hello. Welcome to Ask Aaron. We started a new series last week called Scars, and we're going to talk about some of those questions that came today. hillcityhudson.org/media. You can watch on the app or YouTube as well. All sorts of good information in the first video, Wounds. And just going to jump right into the questions here. As always, these are my answers, not the church's. Hope they agree. And I also want to encourage you. There's been people jumping in and continuing the conversation in the comment section. Hope that you can do that. First question. Should we be thankful for our wounds? Should we be thankful for them? In a lot of ways, no, right? Wounds hurt us, wounds cause us pain, wounds bring us to a place that we're uncomfortable.
I found this on the web.
Oh, Siri cannot get enough. Last week, she was talking. Anyway, wounds get us to a place where we're uncomfortable and where we don't want to be. But in a lot of ways, our wounds can encourage and inspire us to grow and become better people and different people. So I wouldn't say that we should be thankful that they occur, but we can be thankful for the results that they bring in our life and the things that they inspire us to do and the ways that they encourage us to change or move on in life. So I wouldn't say, oh, you should be thankful you have this large gaping wound in your life. But, if it encourages you to grow and become a different or better person, or if it allows you to connect with someone in a way that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to, things like that, they can be used for positive purposes. So, next question. Does everyone have wounds? Is it just a natural part of being alive? And the answer to this is yes. Everybody has wounds. Everybody has things in their life that have hurt them, that have caused them pain and suffering. And it is a natural part of being alive. It wasn't intended to be the natural way of being alive. We were intended to be, living with God in perfection and in harmony as Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden. But as soon as sin entered the world, so did pain and suffering and miscommunication and all those things that wound us. And so natural life means that we're going to experience brokenness in our relationships. We're going to experience physical pain and hurt, emotional pain and hurt, all of those different things. Hurt people. And so the hurt people in our lives are going to hurt us and they're going to wound us. And so yes, it is a natural part of being alive because humans sin and humans hurt one another, and we are not unique because we have wounds. In fact, many of our wounds are the same as someone else's, and that is a way that we can connect with them and encourage one another and show empathy for each other in those moments and draw closer together. And Scripture encourages us to bear one another's burdens, that we all are going to have them. So my answer to that question is yes, we all have wounds. It's a natural part of being alive because of the sin that entered our world with Adam and Eve, and then our own lives, the pain and stuff that we go through as a result of our sin or the sin of someone else. Okay? Next question. What happens when we don't deal with our wounds? Well, when we don't deal with them, they become gross and infected, and they start to impact every area of your life. My wife and I watch a lot of medical shows about doctors, and they're all fake. We don't watch the real ones where people go in and have to have surgeries, and no, we watch the medical dramas, the ones where everything is super realistic. All you doctors out there, oh yeah, that's exactly. It's not at all, right? Yeah, we understand. If they made a show about pastor drama, it wouldn't be realistic either. I get it. But when you don't deal with a wound, it it gets infected, it festers, it starts to affect every area of your life. And sometimes even having, like a gaping infected wound in your leg can affect your brain, and all the, stuff works its way through your blood and up to your brain. And I'm talking in medical terms here. I hope doctors jump in there and correct me. But my point is, it becomes obvious that you're wounded. It becomes obvious that every single part of you is affected by this wound that you've, got in your life. And so if you don't deal with it, eventually every area of your life will suffer. Your relationships will suffer. Your job will suffer. Your ability to do everyday tasks or go to work and function at a high capacity, all of those things will suffer because of this wound. And especially if it's an emotional wound that's caused by, a relationship with someone you care about, you won't be able to trust people as much. You'll struggle in intimate relationships because you've been hurt and wounded in the past, and you don't know how to deal with it, and you're not sure exactly what your next step should be or why you struggle to trust people, but you just do. And so you'll be losing out on great things in life because you haven't dealt with this wound. And this is why I've been in counseling for 20 plus years, and why I encourage everybody to find a counselor and to be talking about situations in your life and all these things that have happened to you, because one of the best things you can do is deal with your wounds, because they will change from a wound to a scar. And a scar represents the fact that it's started to heal and you started to grow and change and become a different person because of it. On the other hand, what happens if we focus too much on our wounds, right? Well, it's the same thing as if you focus too much on a part of your body that's hurt. If you break your big toe, obviously it's going to stink to walk for a while. Or if you break your leg, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to walk with crutches. But your doctor or your physical therapist is going to encourage you, stay as active as you can. Get up, move around, go to work, be active, do the things that you can still do. Because if, you got a broken toe and you're laying in bed 24/7, you're still affecting your life, right? Your mental health will struggle. You'll gain weight. You'll still have all of these issues. And so focusing too much on a wound is giving it more, life or power than it needs or that it deserves. And so you should focus on them. You should treat them. You should try to move forward from them. But focusing too much on them gives them too much power in your life. And we need to understand and realize that these wounds that aren't physical, but that we deal with on an emotional or spiritual level, Jesus has the power to heal those, and Jesus wants to work on those, and Jesus gives us the ability to get past those. And in the same way that crutches help a person to walk, other people bearing our burdens with us give us the ability to move past these emotional and spiritual burdens without allowing them to completely derail our lives from every task that we have or opportunity that we can have. So hopefully these things can get the proper amount of attention without us obsessing and completely derailing our life over them. All right, last question here. How do I know that I have been healed? And this is a great question because it implies that healing is the natural outcome of dealing with a wound, right? Like as you deal with your wound, it slowly starts to heal and become a scar. And the reality is that you may never, this side of heaven, be totally and completely healed. You may always have that scar that reminds you of the fact that you've been hurt, or reminds you of the fact that someone did something to you, or that, perhaps there are certain people in your life that you can't trust, or relationships that you can't be a part of. So you may not ever be totally and completely healed this side of heaven. But when you are able to go back to functioning in a healthy way, when you're able to share your experience and talk about it in a way that you can say, this is how God helped me to overcome this wound in my life. When you're able to forgive and move past the ways that people have hurt you and be in a relationship with them again, if it's healthy, these are all signs that you've healed. Just, I don't think about it anymore isn't necessarily, I've been healed, or it doesn't affect me on an everyday basis isn't necessarily, the fact that you've been healed. If you're able to move past it and use it for positive, if you're able to talk about it with other people and say, this is how God helped me deal with this, if you're able to look at it and say, it doesn't affect me in as much as it did before, those are signs that you've healed from your wound, or that you're healing from your wound. And eventually, right, we will be with God in paradise, in new heaven and new earth, and he'll wipe every tear from our eye, and there'll be no more suffering and no more pain, and we will be completely healed from these wounds. But in the meantime, you should notice and take stock and celebrate the fact that you're healing from them, and that God is doing amazing, wonderful things in your life, in your heart, in your mind, and in your relationships as you work through these things. So that's Ask Aaron for this week. As always, we hope you join us, hillcityhudson.org/media. You can watch us on the app, YouTube, Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, and download all of the wonderful things that you can use to follow us. We have a calendar of events. We've got so much good stuff coming up in the remaining parts of this fall and into the Christmas season. So encourage you to do that. As always, thanks for asking Aaron, and continue these conversations in the comment sections below. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.